call me an alcoholic when you have a shot glass in the bathroom next to your fucking hand soap.
I don't know how to respond.
Because you're guilty. Welcome back to the downward spiral where it's never ogre.
And there it is.
So, you might be reading the title of this video, and you're thinking to yourself, man, I wonder what this is going to be about. Well, I'll tell you. I was out shopping yesterday, after I got paid. I wanted to get a few things, you know. Went to the mall, got a new shirt. This one right here, this like Hawaiian tee with like fall leaves on it.
Yeah, no one can see it. It's very nice though.
It is very nice. It's from Club Room, one of my favorite brands.
Okay.
I'm looking nice yesterday. You know, I take a shower, I get the fucking conditioner in my hair, so I'm looking like half Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
My canonical name in the American dub, anyway.
Yeah.
I'm wearing this shirt. Okay. I got the aviators on.
Ooh.
It's really sunny out. Okay.
Pretty stylish.
Right. Got the fucking crystal necklace.
Mm-hmm.
It's good. Walking down the street, and just the exact day before yesterday, I was talking with my coworker Will. Put a picture of him on screen right now.
There it is.
Fucking dickhead. You are now obligated to like and subscribe, you fuck. You have to do that before I get you on the show. We've been talking about this for months. You are subscribed, right, Will? You're listening. I know you're listening.
Here, I'll put like and subscribe blinking onto the picture.
Can you put it in his eyes?
Sure.
Cool. Canonical Will appearance. Update fan wiki. I was just talking. I think it was with him anyway. I think, or maybe it was someone else. Maybe I brought him up for no reason, because he doesn't matter. Anyway, I was talking with somebody at work, and I had this random thought: where would you buy a megaphone? Like, I don't think I've ever seen a megaphone in person, even.
Fair.
Like, where the fuck do you go to? Like, you don't. Where do you go? Like Dollar General, fucking O'Reilly's, Walmart. Where do you? You've never seen one on like a shelf for like $22.95.
Yeah.
You've never fucking seen one. It just doesn't exist. And I'm walking down the street looking like a fucking Giga Chad. Apparently, that's not my opinion, but I would find out other people have this opinion.
Yeah.
Because the fucking car drives up, they hit the red light. I'm right next to it. Well, not right next, like 15 feet away. And I see the shades roll down. You know, the window.
Yeah.
It's this guy, black shades, black fucking suit, black hair and black beard, black mustache. And he, like, leans out with a megaphone.
This isn't real.
And he goes, "Hey, Daddy."
That did not happen.
Yes, it did! I fucking promise you this happened. It's real. That's the day I found out I knocked some whore up. I'm a father. My sperm cells exploded inside a beautiful womb. And that is my offspring. And he's probably like 5 to 10 years older than me, which is a little weird. But like, bro, if I can get laid, then time travel is possible. Like, anything's possible. If Cloud can get in Smash, and I can even hold a hand with someone half as ugly as me, time travel's possible. I think that's a fair conclusion we can reach, right?
Sure.
Right. So I had to let you know that happened.
I'm so proud.
I am too. I'm proud of that guy. You know,
Yeah.
After I abandoned him before his birth.
After I pre-banned
He had the balls to look up pictures of me as an adult on social media.
After I post-abortioned him. Quit knocking the table. Oh, don't even, you fuck ass. Acting all high and mighty on your fucking tower. You sit in your tower. You fucking shit.
I don't know how I'm acting. I don't know.
Get back down here where I can yell at you.
You're taller than me!
By like a few inches.
By like 9!
What the fuck are you talking
You're 7'15".
Oh, I forgot.
Update the fan wiki.
That's just one of your...
I'm a father. You're 7 foot. Yes. Will is Sheldon from Splatoon. That's what he fucking looks like. That's what he looks like. He's short. He's got a fucking... the cow glasses.
How would he feel knowing you're outing him?
Can we talk about Smash now?
It's fully up to you. You had to bring in your pre-post-abortion boy, baby.
I'm not saying that word.
Well, you don't have to. I said it for you.
Oh, I know.
Just fucking move on, you dick. Move on, like the fucking Freddy Fazbear people. They just keep making more games. Just move on.
No, we can't bring that up.
Okay.
You can't bring up the thing.
Fucking go on then. I'm waiting.
So I don't know if you saw the leaks. There's...
No, go on. It's interesting.
Bro, Phantom Chica is an assist trophy. Dude. Alright.
Cupcake for Smash.
Bro, come on. That's a stage hazard. Come on. You don't really want that to be... I love this kind of shit. I love the pointless fucking arguing that is hardcore Nintendo fans who don't play anything.
Specifically Smash fans, though, because
Smash.
they get consistently more wild.
I would say Smash fans are stupider than Mario fans. Have you seen like hardcore Mario fans with like the nice little 1DO Koopa fanfics? Yeah. It's real nice over there.
But Smash fans are on a whole fucking level.
Yeah, it's
We all live together and we all fuck. That's every Smash fan fiction ever.
I thought you meant that was community.
No, although I wouldn't doubt that.
I mean, I went to Big House 9 and it was close. Big House 9 was fun. We need to inject a little structure into this. I'm sorry, but I wanted to have. I brought this up with Ryan a while ago. I wanted to have a podcast about Smash 1 just so we could finally talk a lot about it because I think it's one of your favorite Smash series, or at least Ultimate's one of your favorite Switch games.
I would say that.
And Smash has been near and dear to my heart for a very long time.
I was definitely much... We'll get into this much later, but I was definitely much closer to Melee because that was like one of... I had like 3 games growing up, and I had SA2... Mario Sunshine and Smash Melee, and Smash Melee was kind of like the first fighting game I ever really played, I would say, like where I really got into it.
Yeah.
Because that was like a thing. Like when we went over to see our cousins, I would be like, oh my gosh, everyone's so into it, and it was just crazy.
Well,
You're ready for 3 hours of that.
Sorry, I'm choking on past regrets.
We all are. But moving
Swallowing
on.
my shame. The reason I wanted to do this podcast right now, this might seem like a random time, but it's because I wanted to have a long-form discussion about Smash. Particularly Ultimate, but just also in general, because, why not?
It's more of like a Smash retrospective. But...
Yeah, this is really like a retrospective, and we'll talk a little bit about like what we want to see in like the next game too.
Yeah.
But I wanted to put this out there into the ether before another Smash game gets announced. I don't mean, I think they're going to announce one next year, guys, but like,
Yeah.
we don't know how long it'll be. It could be 2 years, it could be 5. We don't fucking know. But I feel like once a Smash game gets announced,
the hype's on.
The hype's on, and I don't know about you, but like, this might even sound stupid or incomprehensible, but like when a Smash game gets announced, I start thinking differently about my expectations for the next game.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to put into words, like, because I start thinking of like, okay, once we've seen the game, I don't know what I'm fucking talking about.
Like, are you saying between the time of announcement versus actual debut and like title drop?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I mean.
I got you.
Because you start seeing bits and pieces of the game, and
you start realizing
it starts forming expectations.
Yeah.
Whereas like the time in between Smash games, I feel
it's
like
very magical.
You have more time to kind of sit on your opinions and think about things that will never fucking happen that you think will happen anyway.
I do remember specifically, and keep in mind that just for everybody that, well, obviously everybody doesn't know, but for everyone to just hear for the first time, when Drew and I were working together, which is how we met.
Oh my
Smash,
God, yes.
Smash Ultimate was kind of the game that brought me back into Nintendo.
I would say it was part 3.
Well, yes.
Part 3,
yes,
because
that's a fair
part
way to
1
put it.
was Breath of the Wild. I brought that over to your
Also
house.
Mario Odyssey.
Yeah, I brought Breath of the Wild over to your house with my Switch, and you're like, what the fuck is a Nintendo? I don't remember. It's been like 30 years.
I just been
And
away
then,
from it for
dude,
so
you were
long.
playing that for hours, and we were just having the time of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And then Odyssey was part 2. Because you are a fellow Bing Bing Wahoo enjoyer. And then, you know, because that's all of 2017, March 2018, we get that wonderful Direct. We had some good shit in there.
Yes.
We had the Undertale port to Switch, we had WarioWare Gold's announcement, that was great. And it ends with that fucking animatic played. And I thought, okay, Splatoon mobile game, let's go.
A lot of people, I was looking up the direct reactions to that. A lot of people kept saying Splatoon movie. I'm like, you think they're gonna make a movie about Splatoon? Like, they make a movie about Mario sooner.
Sorry about the ASMR, I'm really thirsty.
It happens.
No, I'm an inkling. No, okay. So how did you first learn about Smash Bros?
Oh gosh. I think it was basically just kind of like I saw my brother playing it, and he was.
Wait, let's clarify something real quick. I'm 25 and you're 24, right?
Yes.
Okay, right.
But yeah, I saw my brother playing Melee because he owned the GameCube at the time. Later passed it down to me, but and he was playing Captain Falcon and all these things, and I just looked at the characters on the screen. And I was like, oh my gosh, there's Mario right next to Link and all these other things, and I was young enough to not really grasp the full concept of like mashing, like the impact of all those characters being together, but I still loved it. And that's kind of what made me love that concept even more, because I was just like, oh my gosh, having all these characters. And I will say that just realizing that was a thing just opened the whole thing up for me.
So you were, I don't know if I should necessarily assume that you played those games, but you were a fan of Mario and Zelda, at least, at that time.
I had never... I think we had Melee before we actually got Ocarina of Time.
Okay. But like, you knew who Link was? Or no?
Fuck. I think I did, because I think my brother had the game manual for Ocarina of Time when he used to own it for N64, but that was a long time ago. But yeah, I did know who Link was, and we had Mario Sunshine at the time, so I knew that. That was about it, though. I mostly knew Sonic, but other than that, I was still kind of surprised to see like all these characters that I just never comprehended. Like, I didn't know who Samus was, I didn't know who Donkey Kong was, I didn't get that. Yeah. But once I learned, I was like, oh my gosh, there's just all these things. It's just so weird.
So how old would you have been? 3? 4?
Gosh. My first conscious memories are when I was older. My first conscious memories are when I was like 4, but like,
yeah, mine too, I think.
I think I was around maybe 6 or 7 when I first started playing Melee. I was about the age, and obviously I sucked. I couldn't do hand-eye coordination. I didn't fucking get that, but I remember at age 10 I was pretty good at Captain Falcon. I remember specifically that my brother tested me by putting me as Captain Falcon against 3 level 9s in like a timed battle. So basically the one who got the most KOs won.
Yeah.
And I won. And he did that he put it on for like an hour, and I never got bored.
Wow, you were a gamer all the way back then.
Because he was going to do something, and he was just like, I'm sick of Ryan not improving with Smash. I'm just gonna fucking sit him here for an hour. And I was surprised.
Put him in the den of lions.
I even knew that he put the timer there, because the timer's right there. And I was just kind of like, I'll play this for like 30 minutes. But to my surprise, I kept getting like more invested in it. I was just like, oh my gosh. Because you can't see the score.
Yeah.
You just see like, oh, score 1 up or score 0.
Right, but you don't see the total.
Yeah, so I was just kind of like, oh, I hope I'm getting more, and I was surprised that I won by like 10 above like the second place.
Dude,
so.
I couldn't fight level 9s for a very long time.
It was specifically because he kept playing that game.
Right. See, I had no one to play with, so I only had my own motivation to get me to play the game, and I couldn't... Man, this is embarrassing. I couldn't fight level 9s until Smash 4. Keep in mind, I played Melee and Brawl before that.
With me, I think the way my brain works, it just was much easier, especially because it was a timed battle. I didn't do well at first.
Yeah.
I definitely sucked at first, but once I started realizing...
You have time to sit there. You have time to think about
You have time to recognize the patterns of the moves and kind of realizing, oh, I can do it before when they're on the ground or something and all that other stuff. Plus, you put me up against, like... They weren't super tough. They weren't, like, Ganon level hard.
Yeah.
They were just, like...
Yeah, level 9s back then, too, weren't... I mean, for a kid, they'd probably be kind of difficult, but level 9s back in the old games were not as difficult as they are in Ultimate. Yes. Ultimate was a stark difference.
Definitely.
But, like, level 9s and all the other games are, like... If you practice at the game, you're fine.
Yeah.
You know? Was Captain Falcon your first main, then? Is that, like, who you gravitated to as a kid?
I think I gravitated towards Mario more just because I knew him.
Yeah.
But I eventually, because my brother played Captain Falcon a lot, I wanted to play Captain Falcon. Because he kind of reminded me more of, like, the anime fighters I was used to seeing in Dragon Ball Z.
He's a buff human with, like, a cool costume.
Plus, he had cool alt colors, and I was just like, oh, okay, I'll play him. And so, yeah, that was Mario and Captain Falcon, and I later learned how to play Falco, a little bit of Marth, but other than that, it was pretty much those ones.
Yeah, it's natural to gravitate towards characters that you already know or characters that you see other people playing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
What was your first
exposure?
Exposure to Smash.
Sakurai's blessing upon the world. all the little good boys and girls. I actually did not... I mean, I've had this memory in the back of my head, and over the course of my life, I've recalled it a scant few times, but it's been ages since I last remembered it until last night, because I thought about, hey, this would be like a fun thing to talk about. And then I was like, wait, how did I learn about Smash Bros? And then the memory came back, and it was so vivid. I don't have a lot of real vivid memories from when I was this young. I can't even remember what year it was. Because here's the thing is, and this surprised me when the memory came back, but the first time I ever saw Smash, I was born in 98, right? Mm-hmm. So by the time Melee and the GameCube came out, I was 3, which is really early. But the first time I saw Smash, it was 64.
Oh, really?
And I think my first memory was the only time I've ever seen anyone play Smash 64. That's including even after other games were released. I never saw someone bust out an N64 and put it in when I was 10, you know? So I don't know if I don't think I had this memory before Melee and the GameCube came out, because I was old enough to talk, and it took me a long time to talk until like age 4. Mm-hmm. So it was probably in between Melee and Brawl, and my cousin just didn't have a GameCube, or maybe even did have one and he was just playing the N64 instead.
Okay.
But I was at my cousin's house because my mom was at work, and my aunt and my cousin lived like right next to the bakery she worked at.
Okay.
So I'm staying over, and my cousin is probably like 10 or 12 at this point.
Yeah.
I'm gonna assume I'm like 5 or 6.
Okay.
And keep in mind...
Clearly younger. And by this point in time, so assuming it's like 2003 or 4, my family didn't have a computer yet, so I didn't have the internet. Okay. So I didn't have anywhere to learn about other games unless like I played them, because I didn't have a lot of friends at school too. I didn't have friends at school until when I was a little older, like going into elementary, middle school. Mm-hmm.
So, you know, back then I was very popular. But, the GameCube was out, but, like, yeah, I didn't know about it, because, like, I had an Xbox for that gen.
Gotcha.
It took until the next gen for me to get into Nintendo. In 2005, I got the DS, and, like, in 2007, I got the Wii. But this gen, I really loved Pokemon, though.
Yeah.
And that's key to the story. I didn't have Nintendo, but because my half-brother was really into Nintendo, and, like, every time he came over to the house, he'd bring his Game Boy.
Yeah.
And I would see, like, Pokemon Red and Pokemon Silver. As far back as probably age 1, even before my earliest memories, Ryan, I got into Pokemon. I was obsessed as a fucking kid. I had huge plushies of fucking Squirtle and Poliwhirl.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
Yeah, like...
That's usually when kids typically get into Pokemon.
But it's so weird to think that, you know, it wasn't when I was a little more conscious at, like, age 5, but, like, I was a super fan before I could even read fucking words and know what they meant.
As just a side note, as someone who has, like, in my more younger years, when I was 8, my little sister was born, and, like, being 8, I'm a bit more conscious of, like, how things were. And when my little sister was born, when I was 8, a month before that, my nephew was born. Or, yeah, nephew is the right term. And then a year later, another nephew. And they all pretty closely hung out. So there was 3 of them. And I got to witness, because their mom kind of struggled with it, so they were with us for a while, my sister. And it was so fascinating because I was their first gaming experience, where they watched the games that I played. And I mostly didn't play Nintendo. I mostly played Xbox at the time and 360. I played...
Lots of good sounds.
I remember what they did. I was playing PS2, and they all got into it. And I was actually playing a Dragon Ball Z game, and that was their first... Before, like, they had conscious memories, that was their first experience.
And it seeps in,
yes,
because their brains are just sponges. That makes so much sense when you say it like that, because I never grew up around any, like, infants or toddlers, so I've never had this experience. I was just the youngest and kind of only child, because I didn't grow up with my half-brother.
Yeah.
He just visited.
Yeah, you didn't get to really see it.
But we didn't share a mom, so, you know, he lived in a different town. It's
very weird to watch them develop.
Yeah, it's got to be kind of surreal.
I remember when
Very humanizing.
They were, I loved Sonic 06, and they obviously loved it too, because I was playing it, and they were just like, oh, well, we want to play. And it was just funny, because at the time I had my TV right in front of my bed, and it was just the 3 of them lined up, just like passing the controller and everything. And I was just like, this is so surreal.
Yeah.
Just the first kid, because that was when they were conscious enough to know. Yeah. And so, and that's the one thing, I even talk to my little sister now, because she's like 14 now, and she's just like, oh yeah, I remember Sonic 06. I'm like, do you remember the Dragon Ball? She's like, no, I have no recollection of that. I'm just like, okay.
You have to remember too that I don't know if people would say that Pokemania extended into Gen 2 with like Gold and Silver, but
that's true.
Probably, I would say probably, because it was still on the same system and stuff. I think once the Game Boy Advance came out,
I think with the DS it really flared up,
but it had a dip in Gen 3.
It did.
Relatively, because Pokemania was huge, unfathomably huge, and I don't remember seeing anyone really involved in it, but I could feel it, you know, thinking about it retroactively at least. Not like as a kid, like, I'm experiencing Pokemon. No, but like thinking about it back then, I can see the effects that it had on me, because I saw my brother with the games. I'm like, oh fuck. The baby said softly. And then all the fucking plushies my family bought me, the huge ones the size of me back then, a fucking Squirtle and Poliwhirl and shit. The anime
Yes. Yeah.
not only aired on TV, but I also had a VHS player back then, and I had some of the tape.
Oh, wow.
Dude,
really?
you know, and then you have like fucking coloring books and stickers and shit
Yeah,
in
Pokemon
every
was
store back
everywhere.
then, you know? Because this is like 2000, 2001. Of course, my sponge brain absorbed it.
Especially because Pokemon is one of those things where, like, if you really get into it, you really get into it.
Because it's... What did kids like most about media back then, right? When they're young. They like characters. Well, Pokemon has 6 billion
Yeah.
for every game.
Not only that, but, like, not just characters, colorful, vibrant characters.
Yeah,
that
and they're
make
like
you kinda-
monsters, and
Yeah.
some of them are cute, and some of them are scary, and some of them
Which
are
is
cool.
why there's so many things, like, copying that. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to say Yu-Gi-Oh! Was copying it, but that was another that was successful because there were so
Similar
many.
franchises. Digimon,
Yeah.
you know?
There were so many like that, and, like, obviously some, the oldest ones pretty much prevailed because that's the one everyone has nostalgia for. That's the one that everyone is just like, well, these are the ones that we grew up on. These are the ones that just have the most
Yeah.
going for them.
This Pokemon stuff was an important backstory, though, because it provides context for the memory I have when I saw this cousin of mine playing Smash Bros. On the N64. He says, "Do you know what Smash Bros. Is?" I'm like, "No, what is that?" He says, "It's a Nintendo fighting game." I'm like, "What the fuck? Nintendo's a fighting game?" He's like, "Yeah, dude, I'll show you." And who does he pick to go into classic mode? I'm thinking like, okay, I don't know a lot about Nintendo besides Pokemon, but like I'm vague. I know of like Donkey Kong and Mario and Yoshi, so like, they're probably gonna be in here. He picks Jigglypuff, and I'm watching Jigglypuff jumping around these fucking stages and fighting Master Hand, and I'm like, this isn't real.
Yeah.
This isn't real. I think that's the thing you think when you see Smash in person, is like, I'm dreaming.
I don't know why I really thought you were going to say Mewtwo.
No, this is Smash 64.
Oh, 64. I'm sorry. I was thinking...
Fake fan!
I was thinking...
Fake fan!
I was just thinking that because I just have no memories of Smash 64.
Yeah, bro, he modded his N64 in 2003. He was ahead of the curve. IBM looking ass. Bro, I got this sick character mod on a floppy.
On a floppy.
Here's my thumb drive. You can unlock Sonic now.
My God.
It's a game shark.
But,
So I'm like,
Jeez.
Jigglypuff? Like, Jigglypuff's in the fight? What? You're crazy. But that means, like, if Jigglypuff's in here, then, like, that can't be the only Pokemon. Like, Pikachu's gotta be in here, right? And he puts up Pikachu, and I'm like,
yeah.
why is Pikachu there with Donkey Kong on, like, a Mario stage? What?
Were they the only 2 Pokemon in the first?
Yes.
Okay.
I am the Smash lore master, so I will tell you about every fucking stage and character in every game. But they're... Well, why don't we just jump into Smash 64? Because besides that memory, I don't have any memories of it, and I never had an N64.
I played it very briefly when I once visited someone. This was way after I played Melee.
Oh, for sure.
Someone had an N64, and I played it briefly, and I was just like, man, this is so much different than Melee.
Yeah, it's very weird. No one really talks about Smash 64. Like,
What started it all. It rarely gets any sort of recognition.
I occasionally see some footage of Smash 64 competitive, which is a thing, I guess.
Is Smash 64 on the N64 online on Switch?
I don't think it's on yet, which is kind of weird. Not that it's like the best N64 game, but like...
But yeah, they could milk it. I don't know.
Then again, I don't think
be.
Banjo-Tooie and Diddy Kong Racing are on yet.
I don't think Tooie is, no.
Kazooie is, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, N64, or just NSO in general,
Yeah.
games taking 19 million years to
For
release.
ROMs.
Yeah, for fucking ROMs.
But anyways, just getting back to the Smash 64.
It's so innovative it's such an ingenious idea, and I'm not saying Smash was the first. At least I don't think it was. I think there were a few before this.
Well,
but
even Smash wasn't originally.
Oh yeah, I mean Smash was originally just Sakurai wanted to make a fighting game.
Yeah.
But
it just didn't have Mario characters.
Yeah, it was just generic like human characters. I think it was called Dragon Fighters.
Something like that.
And eventually he thought, this would have a lot more flair if this had Nintendo characters, and it's such a genius idea to take characters that already exist and put them into a fighting game.
I think he also, when he brought that idea to Miyamoto with Satoru Iwata,
it was a surprise.
No, it wasn't just a surprise. I think it got rejected the first time, and then they just kept developing it anyways. And then they brought it to him again, and he was just like, you know what, I actually do it.
Something like that.
I think that's the story. Because he was kind of like against that idea of like, oh, well, that's kind of weird. And it's like...
Yeah, which is a normal reaction to have, you know?
It's just funny to know that like that initially rejected idea became such a blown up concept.
Yeah, cut to fucking Sora getting into the 5th Smash game on the best-selling console in years. It's hard to have foresight for things.
Exactly.
But I think the first characters developed for that showcase were Mario, Donkey Kong, Fox, and Samus.
I believe so. I think Link came later.
Yeah. It's really interesting that none of the original 12 have ever been cut. I think that speaks volumes about how much Sakurai wants to keep characters, and he doesn't like cutting characters. Characters have been cut before, of course, but there's never been a massive culling. It's always been like 4 or 5 characters.
I do think, obviously, with Ultimate, you're going to see the most cut characters ever between games because a lot of these were originally cut characters.
Yeah, not only were there a lot of originally cut characters that came back, but this game has the most newcomers of any game, and as a result, also the most third parties. And most of those third parties were not brought in for base game, which would obviously get them less money. No, these were DLC, which means there was more finances involved.
Yeah.
So it's going to be harder to bring them back, at least for base game.
Yeah.
A lot of them could come back as DLC. It's also very humbling to remember that the first 2 games, Melee too, but 64 didn't have any third-party characters, You didn't have, like, Sonic or Bomberman or Mega Man in there. It was just Nintendo. And a good number of franchises, too, because you have Mario and Luigi from Mario, Link, Donkey Kong, Yoshi. That's already pretty good variety there. Then you have Samus. Nice choice. You get Kirby. Kirby's getting big. Pikachu and Jigglypuff. Captain Falcon. Ness, and I skipped over somebody. Fox. Okay.
I couldn't remember either. I was like, what?
Fox and Captain Falcon are definitely 2 very weird picks because Fox, you see all the Star Fox members outside of their R-Wings and shit, but besides the multiplayer mode where they walk around with giant fucking cannons on their shoulders, they don't... Like, you don't play as them in the single-player mode. You play as them piloting a vehicle.
Yeah.
Apparently, Fox's move... I didn't even think about this until I heard it from someone else last night. Apparently, Fox's moves are inspired by, like, shit the Arwen can do. To an extent, at least. Like, the reflector is kind of like the effect the Arwing has when it does a barrel roll, which reflects projectiles, which I forgot about. Okay. But then it just gets weird. Like, obviously you have some basic, like, punches and kicks, but, like...
shooting.
It's pointed out to me, I don't know if this is true, it's just a guess, but his up B, where he catches on fire and then suddenly rockets up, is kind of like a rocket leaving the atmosphere. And it sounds like a stretch, but I can't think of anything else like that, because there's never a moment in the first 2 Star Fox, or any Star Fox game, where, like, the R-Wing catches fire and then boosts forward with extra speed. That never happens. Fox is a weird pick. And then Captain Falcon, I think you might see, like, his face in, like, the manual of the SNES F-Zero, and you might see a character portrait in game in like F-Zero X. You never see him outside his fucking vehicle in the game, so
of course.
But you also have to keep in mind this is always the case with video games, limitations with like budget and time, but remember the original build for this game just had a bunch of generic muscle-bound human men. Hey, what does Captain Falcon look like? Well, he's kind of like that.
Yeah.
What do these characters do? Punches and kicks? Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
Kind of works. Like, yeah, why not?
Yeah,
like you
just
can't have him in the car for his whole moveset, so
of course.
Just have him punch some shit. Yeah, like whatever. Let's go.
It's also saying that there's like, as far back as Smash 64, there was a tremendous amount of love put into that game.
Yeah.
Because there's like, when I think of stuff like that, when it's like, oh, you wouldn't know Captain Falcon outside of his vehicle. What's the thing he does the second he arrives on the stage? He arrives in the vehicle,
right?
Out.
The intro animations.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And you're just like, damn, it feels like he's getting
think
ready.
About that. Yeah, because how many Smash staples go back to 64, right? Like the intro animations. I think Smash 64 taunts. You had victory animations.
It's just like all these things that were like, they weren't just add-ons to the characters. They were to make you feel like you were just playing
that you were playing as the character. Yeah.
And it's like, because anyone can create a fighting game where it's like, oh, just multiple skins.
Yeah.
But it's like, you feel like Mario. You feel like Captain Falcon. Like you're just like, I've never seen Captain Falcon outside of the Blue Falcon, but it's totally him. It's totally him.
It's super cool too that that is Samus's only appearance on N64 because Metroid 64 was canceled. I don't even know if there's footage of that game. Maybe 5 seconds of a build from like E3 1998.
I was about to say maybe not even
but like
probably like some frames or something. I don't know. Like a concept.
Samus's only appearance on N64 and Ness's too. Mother 3 was in development. Ness wasn't going to be a character. That was, I think, even back then. The footage we have of Mother 3 has like all the Mother 3 characters, like Lucas and Flint and shit. Okay. But Sakurai put Ness in because he knew there was another game being made. And although Earthbound flopped internationally, it did modestly well in Japan, so it was like an ongoing franchise. F-Zero was an ongoing franchise back then. It just got its second game on the N64, They were still making Metroid. So there weren't any, like, super out-of-the-blue picks. I guess, like, Ness would have been if you weren't in Japan.
Yeah. Because
Earthbound didn't do well. But, like, other than that, like, yeah, you got Star Fox, you got Donkey Kong, you got Pokemon, everybody's here. You
got all the biggest players in Nintendo's franchises there.
If anything, the real oddball pick is Jigglypuff, but one, intended to be a joke character. Two, I mean, Jigglypuff's popular. It's a Gen 1 Pokemon.
Yeah. They
have some recurring joke appearances in the anime for some, like, slapstick. So, it's not like picking fucking Sea King. But, like...
I kind of find it funny that Jigglypuff lasted more than just one game.
Jigglypuff almost got cut a few times.
Which is just funny to me that it just didn't, though.
For Brawl and Smash 4, he at least briefly considered cutting Jigglypuff. Honestly, I'm gonna assume those thoughts never lasted long because she's one of the original 12.
Yeah.
But the other big reason we should keep in mind that Jigglypuff was put in the first place is because, man, we might have time to make a whole new 12th character, but, like, man, if we could make another character based on another, like, Luigi and make things easier for ourselves. Isn't there a Pokemon that looks like Kirby? Is there a Pokemon that we could give similar, like, jump and air physics to? And just a bunch of, like, feet attacks? Seeking!
Voltorb.
Oh,
just explodes.
It only has one move.
So
and it's fucking... Bro, that's cursed.
But, yeah, I think it's fair to say that well, go on with your experience with Smash 64.
That was it.
That was it. Like,
that one time I saw it at
didn't-
my cousin's house was it.
Oh, you never actually played it or anything?
I may have played it for a few minutes at his house, but I don't have any other memories.
But you never really had any connection to it.
Yeah, and then he was the only person with an N64 I knew when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, my family would get a computer in like 2005-ish, and this is jumping a bit ahead, but, you know, by then, Melee was out around, I think it was E3 2006.
Okay.
That Brawl was shown at E3. So I had the internet just in time to see like pre-release material and go on like the Smash Dojo website for Brawl, see like pics of the day and shit. But again, in like 2007, before Brawl came out, I got a Wii. So there were a couple months where I rented Melee every fucking week from Blockbuster because I could finally play it.
Yep. Such a just something about being able to just like have that unlock.
Yeah.
It's just like, yes.
And also knowing that Brawl's on the way, like, dude.
What was your experience with Smash Melee? I already kind of shared mine.
I don't know that I have any like specific thoughts or memories about Melee, just that I played it a shit ton. Like obviously I want to talk about Melee because I feel like Melee, you know, Smash 64 set the stage for, hey, this is a really good concept. We can't just let this die out. Melee really set the stage for the game's popularity, you know, and a lot of features that Smash 64 didn't have. I was researching Smash 64 last night because I did all of my research last night. Not that I need to do a lot, but just to kind of, again, I want this to be a retrospective of the whole series before we go talk about Ultimate for 5 hours. Because we will. You know we will.
There's a lot to talk about.
64's only modes were Versus mode and Classic mode. Oh, and Training, I guess, but Training wasn't even a good training mode until Ultimate, and it's still not good. But
it is kind of funny that Melee was like such a big expansion upon that.
Right, because you went from 12 characters to 26, and then you have an adventure mode, and then you have mini games like home run contests.
You also had a challenge mode.
Challenge mode.
You had a all-star mode.
Yep.
You had home run
multi-man.
contest, multi-man home run.
The trophy gallery.
And such big expansion, and they had special smashes too, like the bigger characters, the smaller characters.
Well, I mean, very exciting.
Well, I mean, like it's still as a concept, including those for the player to mess around with is fun. It's just fun.
We definitely all at least once did metal characters with bunny hoods.
Oh, absolutely.
We all did that
insane
once.
and fun.
Okay, I don't know about that second term, the fun thing, but like, hey, you know.
When you're playing with other people, I often was playing with my brother, so I was just like.
I often played by myself because I was a lonely fuck. So you know.
Same. Anyways.
Well, let's go over what characters were added in the. You know what? Before we do that,
I could probably spout them all off.
I could too, but I want to look just in case. But especially since like one new kind of special move was introduced. I think side specials was it in Melee? Side or neutral special was added for Melee. But do you want to go what we think of the roster as a whole? Like just in general?
For Melee?
For Smash 64, and then we'll do the Melee characters.
Yeah, sure.
Margot Robbie. Is that your opinion?
What about Margot Robbie?
Mario!
I know, but like... what, you want me to say? I thought you were just wanting to talk about the series as a whole. There's nothing I can really say other than like...
Well, let's talk about our first early memory of Super Mario Brothers.
No, not the series as a whole. Like, I didn't know you were gonna go by like the character as a whole. Like, I would just talk about the roster as a whole, because it was just kind of like...
You know what, too? It might make more sense to talk about the characters in the Ultimate portion, because we can talk about every rendition they have and talk about how they've changed, rather than talk about Mario 5 times.
There's also, when you're talking about the roster, I feel like, that's a good way to go, because I can sum up the roster in a very clear, concise paragraph, which is, it was exactly all the Nintendo kingpins you grew up with. You knew, Nintendo fans knew them by heart at that point.
Yes.
Except for, obviously, Fox and, some people probably didn't know Fox and Captain Falcon.
And Ness.
But, like...
all of your favorite Nintendo characters and the guy from page 14 of the manual of F-Zero.
And really, when you look at it that way, you just have to think, like, holy crap, this game exists. And
there's nothing else like it.
No, there's
especially back then. Like, again, other crossover fighting games may have existed by then. Like, we may have had like the first like Marvel vs. Capcom.
But like usually when they were crossed over with anything, it was usually like a one and done type situation, like Mike Tyson's Punch Out, where it was just like, Mike Tyson.
I guess that does count. Oh,
just like, hey, it's Mike Tyson. Then there's these other guys.
And then Mike Tyson got removed from other versions of the game. He was replaced with what, Mr. Sandman?
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's just
Well, back in the NES days, they couldn't program Little Mac's ear being chewed off. That's more of like an N64 thing, Show it off with the polygons. The Dreamcast had really good water physics, and that's.
Oh my gosh. And that's why he drowns on the third screen.
Let's talk about blood, but okay.
But
I want Chaos in Punch Out. Chaos was the original Spring Man, and he was better. I mean, okay, the big thing with Melee we have to talk about, right? Don't we? Is adventure mode.
Oh yeah.
At least big in concept, because it starts out so strong. You go through like World 1-1 of the Mushroom Kingdom, and there's the Toads and there's the Yoshis, and oh my god, and you can actually stomp on the Goombas, and then you go through a Zelda dungeon and you get lost and you have to find your way through, and there's Redeads, and then adventure mode just kind of takes the day off.
What do you mean?
Because there's a few other flashes of really good shit in adventure mode after those two initial stages. Particularly, I mean, Pokemon, that's pretty easy, right? We have a Pokemon Stadium stage, and here's Pokeballs only, and you fight Pikachu. Like, you don't really need to do anything else with Pokemon. Perfect. The other super Kino event, though, is the Metroid escape sequence.
Yes.
If there's anything you want to recreate from Metroid, it's a timed escape sequence with the blaring alarms and the tense strings.
Yeah.
You're jumping off the platforms. Oh, am I gonna make it? So good. Stuff like that.
It's like trophies are falling down. You want to collect them.
Yeah.
And you're like,
The Mario, Zelda, and Metroid sections all perfectly encapsulate the essence of those games.
I will say I found it was very cool how when the planet does explode, it immediately shows.
It jumps to Warp Star.
Yeah.
Oh my god, Fake Fan, I'm sorry, Pop Star.
Pop Star, and but after that, I can't really remember much.
That's the thing, is the rest of it's kind of
Yeah, it's just kind of like normal.
I'll give an honorable mention to F-Zero.
Yes.
Because there's not a lot you don't want to put in like a racing minigame, so the idea of running along the racetrack and avoiding all of the cars flying by at true F-Zero speed, rather than just playing on the big blue stage, that is a really cool idea. I'll give credit to that. But I think everything else just kind of falls flat on its face. Because Popstar, right? You could go through like Green Greens, or you could like go fight like a boss in like Castle DDD, right? Or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
What do? We fight 10 small Kirbys, and then a big Kirby. Okay.
Yeah, I forgot about
it. Can't even... Honestly, if you just had like a one-stock match against Kirby on the Green stage, that would have been better.
I think what the problem is that you're viewing this through an adult lens. As a kid, I loved it.
Oh, I did too. Listen, let's not.
I'm just saying, like, we're criticizing this a lot, but it's like, as a kid, this was the shit. Like, this was absolutely like, I'm playing 1-1 as Captain Falcon and I'm doing this and that.
Right,
like,
but even as a kid, I at least could tell the difference between the Mushroom Kingdom stage and the Donkey Kong stage, where you fight two small Donkey Kongs on Congo Falls and a big Donkey. Why did they do that twice? What the fuck?
No idea.
Why did they do it twice? I'm not saying, oh man, they should have put a whole platform, because they didn't have time to. Melee's development was 13 months.
Which is a nightmare.
And it was also not literally, but pretty much a launch title. Same winter that GameCube came out, you know?
And to think that the game mechanics are so tight.
Yeah, but
like,
it's
phenomenal.
You know, when it's like, yes, a regular match would have been boring, but that it's like, oh, we made Kirby small, isn't this different? And now Kirby's big, isn't it different? Even as a kid, I was like, okay, I'm not even asking for more, but like we're stretching it. This just kind of feels like, hey, we're making a video game, you know?
Yeah.
And then, I mean, Giga Bowser's at the end. It's weird that they made a semi-original character, but Giga Bowser's cool. Especially since Bowser was already made to be more menacing in Smash, and then they give him like a super scary dragon form. Like, that's cool. I fuck with it.
I also loved that it was like, depending on how you did, you either fought one hand or both.
Two. Yeah, Master and Crazy Hand. Yeah, Crazy Hand wasn't in Smash 64. That's also new.
And it was just like, if you got both, A, you were going to be more challenged, and B, like, you proved to yourself that you would kind of make it.
Yeah.
So it's just like, oh man, just being able to do that. Not to mention, I think it's still probably one of my favorite end credit sequence to a Smash game.
Oh yeah,
Just
the end credits
shooter.
shit. Yeah.
It's so weird, but I loved it.
Is it interesting how I don't remember Smash 64's? This may have also been one, but we're not going to count it because we're babies and we didn't grow up with N64s. Isn't it interesting that Smash 64 is the only game that didn't have a shoot 'em up end credit sequence? It's the worst one. Is that weird? We'll get into Smash 4 later. It's fine.
Yeah, well.
What else? Oh, Melee introduced the most revolutionary mode of all time. I don't play Smash any other way these days. It's coin battle.
It's still here today.
No, it's not. They took it out in Ultimate.
I know.
Good. Ultimate doesn't mean everything. Ultimate means the best of the best.
Yes.
That's why Pichu came. This game has a lot of clone characters. And again, makes sense for 13 months. There's only so much you can do. What were all the brand new characters? We had Peach, Bowser, the Ice Climbers for your weird retro pick.
Fire Emblem characters.
Yep, Marth.
Mewtwo,
Zelda, Sheik, Ganondorf.
well, yeah. Young Link.
We're gonna get into clones now.
There were a lot of clones.
But, 4 clones. Pichu makes sense. Young Link makes sense. Falco makes sense.
See, but I'm willing to give these clone characters a pass because 13 months of development is not a lot.
I'm willing to give every single clone character in that game a pass.
Because I think they're all different enough.
Except Ganondorf.
I guess. Yeah, he is just Captain Falcon, but darker.
I don't know if I would go as far as to say they shouldn't have even bothered. Because, like, at least Ganondorf's there, but it's... And again, we'll get into this later, probably in the Ultimate portion, but that they never changed him. Ganondorf, as you remember from the Twilight Princess fight, has always fought like Captain Falcon, but slower. Okay.
It's funny because...
But, like, for Melee, look, I get it. You get a pass. For the other games, no, you don't.
It's funny because I give it a pass because later when I played Ocarina of Time, he only really fought with his like sorcery powers.
Yeah.
And so I was just assuming like, oh, he's using his sorcery to like cover his face, because that was another thing I grew up with, where it's like, oh, in Dragon Ball Z they would like aura would surround their fist and stuff.
Right.
So I always thought it was like, oh man,
yeah, it's like
Captain Falcon's
shadowy
got
energy.
the fire, and Ganon's
yeah.
got the aura, and it's like, oh man, it's that was enough of a difference.
That's another reason I think Melee Ganondorf gets a pass, is if you have to make it a clone character, you know, he's like, oh, you know, he looks evil. Yeah. He always has, but as also Ganondorf only had an appearance in Ocarina of Time, unless you're going to pull from regular Ganon, where you have what, 2 other games to work with. Yeah, okay.
I actually do want to bring up something really quick, which is should we talk about cut content as we're going along?
Yes. Let me pull up the grab. We may or may not put this in the video. I don't know if it matters that much, but
going. I'll probably, I don't know. We're gonna talk about it anyway.
We're already 55 minutes in.
Yeah, strap in, boys.
Strap on.
Fucking
because you're getting cucked by Sakurai, and your favorite character is never getting in. I'm talking to you specifically.
Not me.
The punchline is everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody has a dumb character they want, they'll never get in.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's backtrack a bit to Smash 64 cut content. Shout outs to Source Gaming. Source Gaming is your go-to website for stuff about Smash, from translating Sakurai interviews and columns from like Famitsu to, you know, like looking at stuff data mined in the game. I mean, it's not the only website. You have other stuff, you know, from like YouTube videos like the cutting room floor, but Source Gaming just has a lot of good Smash content. It's not all they're for, but they have a lot of good Smash stuff to read on. Their YouTube channel has a lot of good podcasts and like videos covering development and stuff. I watched, in preparation for this, their series on why characters were selected for each game and why characters didn't make it for each game. Both like characters that were cut from older games and just characters that like passed Sakurai's mind or like were being developed on and then just didn't make it.
Yeah.
And here is a graph of characters, and I shared this with you in Discord a few days ago, but it's cut into sections of like just like a fleeting thought in the development team's mind, to seriously considered, to maybe even was developed
a little bit
to some extent, but didn't make it. For Smash 64, Fox was at one point briefly planned to have Peppy, Falco, and Slippy as alts, which wouldn't look right.
No.
Which is why it's a good idea to not do the idea. But there's 4 characters that came much closer to making it in, and wouldn't, just because of development time, and that would be Bowser, DDD, Mewtwo, and Marth, which would all be Kino choices. Marth would have been weird for international audiences back then, because Fire Emblem at that point had a lot of games, and more would come on GameCube and GBA, but I don't think a single Fire Emblem game had been released internationally. I think the first was like fucking Binding Blade on GBA in like 2002 or 3. It took a while, but there were Fire Emblem games on NES and Super NES, you know, Famicom and Super Famicom. A bunch of games. It was not like, oh, an obscure series with 1 or 2 games. Fire Emblem was big even back then for Nintendo. So Marth would have made a lot of sense. And then Bowser, DD, and Mewtwo. I mean, of course. 2 big villains and then a legendary Pokemon. Smash 64 was also going to originally have Final Smashes. And it's really interesting to hear that, knowing that they weren't in Melee either. But, you know, I mean, stuff happens, or you might just change your mind and then
Yeah,
change your
I
mind
think
again
he
later.
probably changed his mind. He was just like, then we have to develop all these, because also you got to consider 13 months of
Right, and
development,
you want
just
to add a bunch of more characters.
and you're like, oh, well, then we'd have to develop a bunch of
Yeah, and
these
then you
things.
want to squeeze in more characters with clones, and then you're making adventure mode and special smash and trophies. And okay, let's.
Yeah. Wasn't that the game where he like legit got like an injury or something, or like he didn't sleep or something?
That's probably all of them to an extent, or at least Melee Onward. I don't remember.
I don't remember.
There was a point where he had like a wrist injury. I want to say that was during like Smash 4, and
I thought it was Melee. I don't know.
I'm sure. Even if he never said in an interview, there were sleepless nights with Melee. 13 months.
Yeah.
I mean, not that that's not comparative to 13 months today, because games take just a lot more money, a lot more resources,
Yes.
and bigger teams for AAA. 13 months back then was not like 13 months now, but that's still tight.
That's it's crunch. It's very
Even
crunch.
when they said that the GameCube was actually easier to develop for than the N64, despite more resources, even considering that, you need like
It's a lot.
2.5 years.
So you gotta remember, for all the new stuff you include, you gotta debug it in every single way,
Yep.
and it's just a nightmare.
Yeah, that definitely happened with Melee, bro. Have you seen Game & Watch? Have you seen his shield?
No, I don't remember.
When Game & Watch shields, his shield doesn't cover his whole body. Like, half his head and half his hands poke out.
I wouldn't doubt it.
It's just really fucking... Yeah.
I feel like that happens. I feel like that happened a lot in Melee with other characters.
Yeah, but with Game & Watch, it's the most
it
notable.
was okay.
It's like... It's not slight. It's like Game & Watch isn't even trying. I think it's because Game & Watch ended up being a little bigger then,
Yeah.
but was, air quotes here, based on Mario. As in, like, they start out with the
Size.
code for one character. Yeah, for the sake of, like, size.
Yeah.
And then build on it.
That's fair.
I'm gonna flex on you with some deep gaming lore knowledge here before we go into Melee Cut content. Game & Watch, I don't know if this is the case for Ultimate, but at least the other 3 games he's been in has always been a 3D model. Game & Watch has a 3D model. It's just when the game runs him in a match, there's code that says, okay, we have to flatten him and make him 2D. But if you look up, like, if you data mine Melee, you can find Game & Watch's 3D model, and it's just black spheres.
Oh, okay.
He looks like he would in 3D.
Okay, that's cool.
It is!
It is. Good on you.
Worship my ultimate gamer knowledge. You will never be as sufficient as me in the fan wikis.
You're right, I won't.
Update the fan wiki. Alright. A lot of weird ideas that pass Sakurai's mind for
Well, let's just go
Melee.
up to Melee with the cut content for now, and then we'll get into Brawl.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just assuming you were going to go into all of it.
Yeah, no, we're gonna go game by game. I mean, unless there's we can talk about other stuff with Melee, but I don't think there's a whole lot besides, like, adventure mode is crazy until it's not, and then it's not.
It was
trophies.
crazy ambitious.
Trophies were so cool. Smash 64 had character profiles for all the fighters, but I think that was it. In Melee, you have trophies for shit you've never heard of, like the illustrious, iconic Clue Land.
Yeah.
Tell me what Clue Land is right now. You literally can't.
Was that a game that had like a weird orange pumpkin looking thing as a mascot?
Yeah. What else can you tell me about it? What else can you tell me about it that you didn't learn from the trophy?
No, I didn't learn that from the trophy.
I don't believe you, but okay.
No, I'll tell you how I know it. Let me ask, was it a Sega property?
No, it's Nintendo.
Really? Okay.
There's no third-party shit in Melee. Almost. We'll get into that.
Gosh, trying to think. No, I can't think of anything else I can
You
say
literally
about
can't.
that.
It's over, Nintendo Bros.
But I'll tell you where...
He doesn't remember Cuckoo Land.
But I'll tell you where I learned about that was Billy Hatcher. They had a GameCube, or no, not a GameCube. They had a Game Boy Advance in the corner, and they had a weird, like, if you hooked up your Game Boy Advance, you could play a Cuckoo Land thing.
I don't think
Like
Cuckoo
stage.
Land was on.
No, it was...
though.
Huh?
I don't think Cuckoo Land was on GBA.
No, but it would play like a little, like, you could play like a little mini game, I guess, on it, which was weird.
I feel like you're
understood that.
talking about Choo Choo Rocket.
Maybe, I'm not sure. Yes.
Yeah, because that's a Sega property.
Okay, they look similar to me.
I mean, vague orange sphere,
Yeah.
just like your testicles.
And yours. You
I
brought it
haven't
up.
gotten them dyed yet. It was gonna make them purple for the, like the color scheme. Anyway, I guess we're gonna have to cut the live action segment now. I felt sins crawling on my back as I let my mouth.
I could have continued,
Dump
but I'm
that
gonna
out.
let you just simmer on that one.
I earned that. I get it. I'll take the L. And L stands for
Winner.
there is no planned character. No, Lucas, because Mother 3 was still in development. It had been delayed at that point, and it was no longer going to be an N64 game. Obviously, the GameCube was out, but then plans were underway to make it a GBA game, and it would eventually come out in, I think, 2004 or 5. But before Sakurai realized it was going to be that far out into the future, he almost put in Lucas and replaced Ness, because Ness isn't in Mother 3, was never planned to be. All new characters. Lucas would have just been like a replacement for the sake of like relevancy.
Okay.
And we're jumping forward a bit, but he almost did the same thing in Brawl 2, since Mother 3 was released by then. But then Mother 3 never ended up internationally releasing, so he thought, well, at least Ness was from a game that got worldwide release, so let's just put them both in. We're not going to have one or the other.
Gotcha.
Which is a smart choice.
Here, hold.
Alright guys, code Red Letter. You're going to have to stop watching the video now because a new Red Letter media video dropped. It's a review on Pee-wee's Big Adventure. So dislike the video, unsubscribe, and just go watch their stuff. And when you're done, don't come back. Because they have fun and a budget.
But also
And
like
content.
but also like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah.
We like your we want to see comments. Just don't spam like.
We want to see your comments, just not on our channel.
Well, we can go anywhere. But cut characters. Cut content.
For Melee, because Sakurai wanted to throw in a retro NES rep, specifically from a series that probably wasn't getting more games, he had a couple ideas, including Takamaru from a game that never released outside of Japan, Ayumi Tachibana from multiple games that never released outside of Japan, and is also from a visual novel of all things.
Okay.
Balloon Fight. I don't think the technology was there to make a character like that with the magic balloon. Now, you will see that Sakurai did think about this magic balloon concept because Tingle is a stage hazard in Great Bay.
Mm-hmm.
I've been thinking about this fucking joke for 12 hours.
I bet. I really bet.
I got 5 hours of sleep in there.
And you know what? When she went to bed and your head hit that pillow, you were whisked away to dreamland on your magic balloon.
And, of course, as we'll talk about in the Smash 4 section, the very first character reveal was Villager, and his up special is 2, actually, magic balloons, because the HD console could render that many. Truly, the technology was there on the Wii U. We weren't ready for the future back then.
But the future is
But once
now.
2014 hit, it was time, you know? Our first non-video game character, and they came from Colgate. That's really interesting.
If you don't know what we're talking
It's
about.
really weird that when you put a bunny hood on Villager, he gets purple fur. It's really weird.
Big teeth.
And then he goes to Spain to fight black monsters.
It's weird that
Well,
there's-
in Smash 4, the bosses would also be black monsters. I'm on a roll.
Whew, boy.
You now remember Master Core. Well, you don't. The person I'm talking to
Yes.
in front of me, you don't, because you didn't play Smash 4, and that's maybe okay. Other cut melee characters. Oh yeah, Urban Champion.
Sure. What?
Raise your hand if you've heard of Urban Champion before you heard people talking about characters that didn't make it into Melee. No one's heard of that game. It wasn't even Japan exclusive. I think it came out internationally. You've never heard of Urban Champion.
Oh.
What the fuck is that game? It's a guy fighting on a street. And it's not as interesting as Streets of Rage or Double Dragon or anything like that. Great. The one other NES character for like a retro rep. Yeah, I saw your eyes rolling. The
No,
Urban
it was
Champion
just
does that to people.
My eyes got like dry.
So I sucked them in my head. It helps with the moisture. Excite Bike.
Mm-hmm.
Or I guess Mach Rider too. He considered
what?
both. At least the Mach Rider guy has a gun.
It's something, but still, it
It's
was
definitely something. I would like to see if one day we can get a character where their entire moveset is on a bike. That'd be kind of sick. But I don't know that we'll ever see it. But those were all like fleeting characters, and those were also like ideas for retro reps. Now we could get into Rareware. You know why Banjo and Kazooie aren't in Melee, even though it would make way too much sense for them to be? Because by the time Melee was developed, apparently around this time, Nintendo was already considering selling, or maybe already talking with companies about selling, Rare.
Mm-hmm.
They were already considering selling Rare off, and they eventually did Microsoft a few years later.
Yeah.
But apparently, as far back as 2001, they were ready to just get them out of there.
Jeez.
No more Perfect Dark, no more Banjo-Kazooie. Yeah, we don't want it! Let me see how that one. Very cool. So...
He's so cool.
Oh yeah, I actually forgot. Everyone has good memories these days of the Smash ballot that came out after Smash 4's release, but there was a vaguely similar thing in between 64 and Melee. I think just in Japanese, but on like the version of Smash Dojo back then, where Sakurai would give updates, there was a poll, and it got at least 900 something votes, so pretty good turnout.
Okay.
Of what if there was a Smash 2?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have the votes on with me here,
Smash 2.
so I won't, because Melee wasn't a thing yet.
Oh, okay.
This was in between.
I thought you were saying between
64
Melee and Brawl.
No.
Didn't pick up on that.
I don't have all the results with me. I don't feel like pulling it up because it's not that. There's some pretty interesting results on there, like Lugia and Gooey, and any Pokemon character,
Yeah.
and any Fire Emblem character, and any Kirby character. It was a style of the time. Okay. And as one last brief aside for this, I'll get to my main point. If you're wondering who the number one character was, do you want to guess?
This was before Melee, right?
Yeah, but after Smash 64. Who do you think was the number one requested character?
Gosh, trying to think.
I hope you can get this. Don't overthink it. That's my hint to you. Don't overthink it.
Mewtwo?
Close. Bowser.
Okay.
Mewtwo was highly requested too, but I mentioned the Smash poll.
I'm in a constant state of because I never played Smash 64. I'm in a constant state of forgetting that Bowser wasn't in that game.
Because it's so weird.
Yeah, he seems like one that would be a given.
And he almost was. He really almost was, along with Mewtwo and DDD and kind of Marth. Just not enough development time. But it's really weird to think there was a time where Bowser wasn't playable, especially. Like, if you were going to throw in one more character, it would probably be Bowser.
Before Yoshi, for me, that would be like, oh, Mario and Bowser.
Yeah, got even that.
But, yeah, anyways, moving on.
There were certain categories for franchises, or in Rare's case, companies, that got enough votes to not just mention them in like, oh, this character got 1 or 2 votes. There was a whole Rare section. And I think, he even beat Banjo and Kazooie. The number 1 result was James Bond, who Rare doesn't own, but GoldenEye 007 was and still is one of the most popular games on N64. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Maybe one day we'll get a person portrayed by a real life actor from a non-video game franchise. Maybe we can get Cyberpunk 2077 Keanu Reeves.
You can stop.
As a Mii costume.
You can absolutely stop. That's fine. You can stop. Anyway, moving on.
Oh yeah, Melee, because of Smash 64's, reception, because it did so well, during the development of Melee, Sakurai got personal requests. I'm not talking like fan emails of like, please add a line from Kirby into the game. I'm talking people in the industry begging Sakurai to put their characters into Smash.
Yeah, I don't doubt it.
And it was Hideo Kojima and Yuji Naka asking for Snake and Sonic to be in. And there just wasn't enough time.
Yeah.
But I thought that was noteworthy. It's cool to know that they didn't even have to wait very long. They would get in the next game.
Well, is there any more cut characters to talk about?
No.
Then that can be a segue into Brawl.
We're not going to talk about Coin Smash?
No, we're not, Drew. In fact, no one's going to talk about Coin Smash. Brawl.
But what if I hit my penny in the quarter together?
I'll hit your penny in the coin. So don't even.
What does that mean? I don't want to find out.
Don't find out. Now.
That's really good advice. I have to mention, before we get into Brawl, this is, again, when I had a computer, so I was able to stay up to date on pre-release news for games, which changed me forever.
Jeez. That would have changed me forever, but...
Because first it was...
I wasn't smart enough to look that stuff up. I just looked up gameplay and stuff.
Because first it was... Oh, we're getting, like, Japanese magazine pictures of coverage for Diamond and Pearl on the DS. Dude, that was crazy. And then I think it was E3 2006 that Brawl was shown off. Let's see, I'm gonna look it up. From 12 years ago, when YouTube was just barely a thing. No, this is from 12 years ago. It's 2011. God damn it.
Whatever.
Yes, 2006. Bro, that initial trailer has Pit, like, what? Another retro character? Zero Suit Samus, which, like, why not just Ridley? However, she is hot. And then you get, bro, by this point, if there were 2 Nintendo franchises I was into, it was Pokemon and Kirby. I still wasn't really into Mario. I was big into Sonic, but that's not Nintendo. Kirby was really the only other franchise by then that I'd gotten really into, especially with my DS.
It's interesting. Yeah, I only ever really played Kirby Air Ride. That was all I had as a kid.
We all played Kirby Air Ride because that game is pretty good.
But it's like, I don't think Meta Knight was in that. So yeah.
Oh wait, yes he was.
Was he?
I consistently forget that. Yeah, DDD was too.
I can't remember. I just remember mostly playing multiplayer.
Too.
I think I mostly just like played multiplayer with my brother. That was all we ever really did.
But that initial trailer has Pit Zero Suit for some wacky picks. You get Wario, who was a shocking exclusion from Melee.
And it's not just Wario in his Mario skin, is it?
Yeah, it's the biker outfit from WarioWare, which had a couple games at that point. And then you get Meta Knight. Dude, I was 8 years old, and I lost my virginity before I ever had a chance to learn what virginity was. I couldn't even cherish it.
You were at the computer and you just saw that, and your mom overheard. Yeah.
She saw my Adam's apple come in live in 3D.
And she's like, "Oh my gosh."
Yeah. That same day, I had to talk about boners and wet dreams and pheromones.
And you realize you'll never reach the pinnacle of your first Meta Knight in Smash.
I won't. Except I will, because in 2007... Oh my god. Oh yeah, at the end of that trailer, the initial trailer too, we get Snake coming out of the cardboard box, which is just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Why is this the first third party to get into Smash is Metal Gear, of all things, the game about sneaking around corners, choke holding government agents and conspiracies about giant mechs. It's not Mega Man, it's not Sonic, it's not Ryu.
That's funny to think.
Solid Snake. Okay. Even for Brawl's more realistic art style, seeing Snake on Battlefield next to Mario and Kirby is like
surreal.
Okay, I'm not alive anymore.
Yeah.
I've entered another plane of existence, and I would ascend even further into the fifth dimension when in 2007. Again, I don't remember if I made this clear, but for anyone who doesn't know, Sakurai has had a website where he would personally give like updates and previews about Smash since 64. I think back in 64, and maybe even Melee 2, it was just Japanese, but Brawl, they went all out and made international, and it was renamed the Smash Dojo. I don't know if you ever saw this.
I saw it, I never really took part of it.
Smash Dojo also introduced Pick of the Day, which we're gonna get into very soon with Smash 4. If you know, you know.
I don't.
It's gonna be great.
I can go back to my childlike mind though and think about it.
Seeing a pick of the day, and here's what like the new model for the beam sword looks like, and here's this new stage. Now you get to see fucking Delfino Plaza, and Wario's got this move you didn't see in the trailer. All kinds of stuff like that. I don't think back then pick of the day was daily, or at least not consistently daily, but one glorious day in 2007. None of us were prepared for this game to get another third-party character and a much more obvious but crazy pick in Sonic. You see, I think it was like a Subspace Emissary stage, like a jungle of like Mario running, and then you hear someone's feet running through, and you're like, it's fucking Sonic. I don't remember what song plays too, but it's like Open Your Heart or Sonic Boom.
No,
or
it was Live and Learn.
Live and Learn, yes.
I remember that.
I know Sonic would turn out to be hot garbage in all three games. However, come on.
My face.
My only regret is that because Brawl came out, at least in the US in March 2008, that was not Mario and Sonic's first crossover. First it was in Beijing at the Olympics.
Oh, yeah. Fun.
Yeah, Peach versus Tails fencing, haha.
Stab one,
Okay. That game didn't even have like the remixes and the dream events where you would like play in like the Mushroom Kingdom and Sonic stages and stuff. That came later.
Don't even talk about it. You're talking into the ether right now.
No, it genuinely is kind of cool. Like the next game, like the Winter Olympics, there's like Dream Snowboarding, and you're in Radical Highway.
Oh,
like,
I didn't.
and they have a remix because Sega does all the music for those games, and they remix Sonic and Mario stuff, and it sounds great. Those games have some cool stuff, but the first game's just boring. Like, yeah, they're playing table tennis in Beijing.
I never played them, so I didn't know.
And you're not missing out. They're party games.
Yes,
it's fine. But at least we would get a better crossover a few months later. Oh, man. Yeah, really cool lineup of newcomers for this game. Some cool clone picks in Wolf and Toon Link.
Wasn't Lucario also in?
Lucario and Pokemon Trainer.
Yes.
As if it wasn't cool enough that you had a transforming character in Melee with Zelda and Sheik. Now we could get a transforming character that was actually good. Or so we thought. I don't know how the fuck they fumbled the bag so hard with Pokemon Trainer. I don't know if you know about this. You couldn't switch Pokemon midair. And
so 90% of the game, got it.
Yeah, but that's not even the worst of it. It's not even close to the worst of it. The Pokemon would get weak over time to replicate losing HP. And it didn't even matter if you were actually getting hit or not. It wasn't based on your percentage. It was just how long the Pokemon... If Squirtle was out for too long, he would start, like, panting and stuff in his idle, and you would just do less knockback and less damage. So yeah, that's really cool.
Jeez.
And also, they incorporated elemental weaknesses. So obviously, Squirtle is weak to grass. Oh wait, no one has grass.
Yeah.
And Ivysaur is weak to fire, and like half the cast has at least one fire attack. Thank you.
Sometimes
very cool.
Too real doesn't mean good.
Yeah, that's a little. I like that they're trying to get creative, but there's some mechanics that just don't work in a fighting game.
Yep.
And Charizard was obviously weak to water because we would get two very famous water characters in Smash. Squirtle and Mario fuck you. Remember that down B he had that wasn't even from a game? Well, now it is from a game, and it's maybe the worst attack in the series. Flood.
I liked the bottom thing. What is it? The spin. I like that much more.
Flood could do so many cool things in Smash. He could do so many cool things, even if it's just for one move in his set. And it's pushing people away. Because like Squirtle's water gun, it doesn't even deal damage. It pushes you away. If it made you enter free fall, that would at least make more sense. Because if you're trying to get back up on the stage and you get hit by it and you entered free fall, now you can't recover. But it just pushes you. So if you're a character with a better recovery than Ganondorf, which is everyone but Ganondorf, you're getting back on anyway? Like, Flood doesn't last long enough to push you completely off the... Talk about newcomers. King DDD! Featuring his famous final smash. My big gay dance! Have you ever seen that?
No.
He just... Oh man, I have so much to teach you. My son. Oh. His final smash is not anything from Kirby. He glows yellow. I mean, they all do with Final Smash, but he just does like a shitty fucking dance and he turns around and he's just spawning Gordos and Waddle Dees literally popping out of thin air.
Oh,
like he's not even attacking himself.
Yeah.
And it was lovingly referred to as the big gay dance. And we all loved it.
I forgot about that. I remember that now. Jeez.
Yes.
Final Smashes were such a weird thing.
Yeah, because some of them were fitting, you know? Like Supersonic. And then you get shit like Mario does the... Hey, do you remember Mario Sunshine when he did the fire, the twisty? What's that?
even things like with Supersonic, because I remember I didn't play Brawl extensively, but I remember I once went over to a few people's houses who had it. And I remember I was like, Sonic is in this game. I want to play Sonic. And they were like, oh, you can get check out what his final smash is. And it's literally, you're Supersonic, and you move so weird.
It's weird. The startup feels really slow, but it only lasts for like a quarter of a second, and then you hit max speed instantly. It's It's
and you could kill yourself.
Yeah.
And it's fucked. It's like,
yeah, you can, and it's very easy to do that.
Like, what the fuck?
Especially on a small stage like WarioWare Inc. or Battlefield.
I remember the first time when I realized that I could kill myself with a Final Smash. I wanted to kill myself with a Final Smash because that was fucking stupid.
I felt like Jigglypuff getting big. You now remember Jigglypuff getting big. That's still her Final Smash.
Yep.
Man, ugh.
Big. Callback.
Will, you like the Beeg meme. Now you have to like and subscribe again. And comment. Comment on this video. I know you've listened this far. It's taking you 9 times because you can't listen to these in one fucking go. But you're gonna do it. Sheldon looking ass. No. We can't talk about Final Smashes and not talk about the second big gay dance. I'm referring to who else but Luigi with his iconic Final Smash. You remember it from Luigi's Mansion, the Negative Zone.
What?
So I have to forget you've not seen like any of this at all.
Very.
Even though some of the stuff carried into Smash 4. You've never seen any of it. We'll watch like some clips later on. But
okay, yeah, because I'm kind of curious now.
Final Smash is the Negative Zone, where he, like a big circle of green, flashes on the screen, and everything in the green is like photo negative, like the colors are reversed, and he does like a dance for a little bit, and some creepy, weird music plays with like a sitar, and once Luigi's done dancing, there's still some time left with like the circle, and everyone else moves in slow motion.
I feel like I've seen this once a great long time ago, but I wasn't conscious enough to pay attention. I was just watching all the Final Smashes and like...
I don't think you had to be. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like my favorite Final Smashes from this.
You know what I will say? I liked Captain Falcon's.
Oh, yeah! Come on! Yes!
And just fucking
great.
hits them.
I don't know why Fox, Falco, and Wolf all have the Landmaster instead of, you know, R-Wing. But if you're gonna plop something big on the stage, yeah, the Landmaster, and it can like turn over and shoot from the cannon. It's good.
It's something, but I think it's much better.
Snake goes out of bounds to the front of the screen and shoots his fucking grenade launcher from like a helicopter ladder. Oh man, that's great. Lots of good stuff. And then Jigglypuff gets big.
It always comes back to big with Nintendo.
So we talked about how okay, I'm gonna forget this before we go in. Brawl was the first game with online.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, the Wii. The Wii had online.
I forgot about that.
It wasn't good.
I can guess.
And for a console with not good online play, Brawl was the worst. At least you could play Mario Kart Online. Brawl? Bro. That was some AOL dial-up shit. That was... You like 1 frame a minute? You like the game eating your inputs for the entire match like it's fucking Golden Corral? Yeah, bro. Side smash right next to the mashed potatoes, bro. Go ahead. Yeah, good online. Oh yeah, I'm gonna forget this too. Brawl was the first game with the stage builder. Not
oh yeah, I remember that.
Super great, but it was definitely good enough for a first try. You had like falling platforms, you had ladders, spikes.
Yeah. I remember something about that.
Yeah, those were fun. And thus, humanity invented Smashketball, which I will always struggle to say.
Yeah,
Smashketball.
I forgot about that.
I remember everyone making custom stages with conveyor belts, and at the end of the conveyor belt was just a wall, so nothing would fall off, and you would do like a 99-minute match so that trophies would just fall and you could collect them without fear of them falling off the stage. That was the way to do it. If you weren't doing coin launcher, you were doing that. You just hop in as whatever character. You don't have to fight anybody.
And as we previously discussed, I managed to entertain myself for an hour on Smash, so I mean, I'm sure people did it.
Oh yeah. I was there for hours.
On your magic. No, not yet.
You know, those are close, but I was doing an impression of the old cartoon Luigi.
Oh, okay. It sounded similar to me.
It is a similar voice.
That's a trophy, Luigi. I know, Mario.
You didn't make it. It's sandbag. I chiseled it.
Were there any cut? What was the cut?
No, we're talking about more modes.
Oh, there's more
way
modes.
more.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, I can't.
In particular, Subspace Emissary.
Yes.
Because Sakurai, in his infinite wisdom, thought, you know, we could have gone a little more all out with adventure mode in Melee if we had the time.
We could have gone walls to the balls. I mean, balls to the walls.
Do you see this? Look, make eye contact with me right now. What am I holding? You know what this is? This is the talking stick. I have the talking stick. Cease your breathing. I'm tired of it after all these fucking years. Just let me do it. It's like the 8-year-old grabbing the wheel an hour into the fucking road trip. Like, you don't know how to operate this. I got it. We'll hit a rest area soon. You can get a hot chocolate and go to the bathroom. Just let me play on your Game Boy right now. Stop bothering your sister. We're going to Idaho, and you're not gonna.
We're gonna see the biggest ball of twine in Minnesota, and there's nothing you can do to stop it.
I hope you hang yourself up with it. Now, Subspace Emissary, because Sakurai in his infinite wisdom thought, you know, we can have characters go through more worlds. We can have a Kirby stage. We can have a Sonic stage. We can have a Mother stage.
We can have a story.
Yeah, so the game doesn't
work.
You keep doing that. Okay.
I'm trying to find the word you're looking for.
No, there wasn't a word I was looking for. It was a bit. Okay. Talking stick. Look at it. Grasp its concept.
That's bottled water.
Can you shut the fuck up? It's a metaphor.
The metaphor?
I am what?
The metaphor. I'll shut up.
Okay.
Dude, just slammed.
It's your turn to have the talking stick.
Okay. Subspace.
Grasp it more firmly. Okay?
Yes.
Now talk and get it all out.
Subspace Emissary was. He yanked it. Subspace Capillaries was my favorite. You can talk now.
I wish I could pretend to convince people that I'm not a crazy person, that I'm not seething blood rage. I wish I could pretend. Maybe it's normal to have this reaction, maybe it's not. But when I heard the word emballary, keep in mind, folks, that was the second word in this fantastic fucking Aristotle-ass sentence. I think my brain snapped in half. Like the left and right hemispheres just like, nah, we're breaking up.
We're gonna go see other brains.
I wish I could.
Mother Brain.
Mother Brain's not in Brawl!
Oh. You can talk now.
Ooh, can I, laddie? I think that's a good idea, you're right fucking twat! Ridley's right there. You have a Metroid block. Okay, Drew, it's gonna be okay. Stuck on your bottom. It's okay. It's okay. The point.
Yeah, shut up.
You really do. He got the message 6 years in, everybody.
It's so hard to stop.
I know it is. It's okay, sweetheart. Shh. I'll get you your blanket so I can fucking choke you. Now, the point I was trying to make with Subspace Emissary is there's no game worlds in Subspace Emissary besides, okay, there's two. You have Sky World from Kid Icarus, and you have the Halberd, which plays a role in the plot for reasons
briefly,
that I don't
guess.
quite remember. There's actually a couple stages on the Halberd. It takes up like a big chunk of the middle. But other than that, it's like generic cave, generic factory, generic jungle, generic plains. And it
doesn't work as much.
Like, you see with Brawl that they had like 3 years of development time. So, like, why didn't they... I mean, okay, the jungle stage kind of vaguely is Donkey Kong-esque, but it's not cartoony. Remember, Brawl had a kind of more realistic aesthetic, kind of like what Melee had, but they went further with it. So, you know, it's not like a cartoony jungle.
This is kind of my whole philosophy with Brawl. Every time I see it, I'm always like, I think they were just trying to go for the more realistic side of things.
Because, like, hey, let's show off the technology we have.
Yeah, and plus,
in the age of HD consoles,
if you look around it at the time, that was kind of what every game was doing. So I can't entirely blame them, but it would have paid to be more creative.
Yeah, this is around the time where people were actually asking Sega to make a Shadow game where he used guns.
And then they did.
Yes, I'm talking about you, Jordan. Yes, I am. Continue.
Okay, you can stop bringing people up and calling them out. But
okay, but for Shadow the Hedgehog, for that game being ushered into existence, they deserve it.
No, but
I will seek justice.
But it's just a weird thing, because whenever I think of Subspace Emissary, I always think of this, like, very ambitious thing that just clearly didn't work.
Yeah, the first thing you think of is the cutscenes, though, which is easily the best part. You know, you see, like, weird combinations. You see Fox and Diddy Kong. You see Meta Knight with Marth and Ike, the best trio in the game, by the way. You see Mario, Link, Kirby, Yoshi, and Pit. They all hang out for a good while. Good stuff. Real good stuff. Samus and Pikachu. Never mind, that's the best team up in the game. My honorable mention goes to Olimar and Captain Falcon. Have you seen that cutscene?
I can't remember.
Olimar's walking around with a bunch of Pikmin in the middle of the wilderness. A Rob attacks, because Robs are like part of the enemy army. Mm-hmm. And then Captain Falcon is zooming through these like overgrown ruins, heading towards them. Jumps out of the Blue Falcon into the air. He's going faster than the Blue Falcon at this point. He lands, punching Rob in the head. And then his momentum carries. He slides for like 30 feet along the ground, and he kills a million Pikmin.
Oh my god.
And Olimar just looks at him like, dude, what the fuck? Who are you? There's a lot of good stuff like that. And like, Wario's part of the enemy team where like they're trophy-fying everyone so that, you know, there's no one in the way. Wario's part of that team. He's going through this like zoo, and Ness and Lucas are together. Lucas is about to get trophified. He doesn't see it. Ness pushes him out of the way, gets trophified.
That's right.
Lucas almost breaks down to his tears, and then Pokemon Trainer comes in to help him, and they fight together. There's good stuff like that.
Lots of good, like, story elements, but, like, once you get to the gameplay, it just doesn't add up.
Yeah, the game has a story, but it's pretty much just, here's an original villain, he's, like, sucking everything into black holes, subspace, and, like, people are teaming up to fight the army and save everyone. That's pretty much it. The one nuance is King DDD is originally on the enemy team, and he has these like DDD medallions that can prevent people from being trophified. So he always wears one at all times just in case like someone turns on him or someone like a hero gets the trophy gun. And he is capturing a couple people. He captures, I think it's like Kirby, Luigi and Zelda. And there's a really nice cutscene where you find out he's actually going to go against Taboo and Bowser and Ganondorf. He wants to save everybody because he sees how fucked this shit's going to get. The plan is everything's going to be vored into subspace and then that's it. It's just the end of the world. There's nothing to be gained. There's a scene of him in his castle where the other three are back there, trophy-fied, and he's about to set them free. He takes off his own medallion because he puts one on Luigi, one on Zelda, and he's about to put one on Kirby, and he's like, oh, I don't have a third one. And he looks down at his chest, and, oh, I'm wearing one. And you see him kind of hang his head like, okay. Puts one on Kirby. Flash forward a couple hours later to when the whole world is subspaced. Kirby wakes up with the other two. DDD's a trophy with everyone else. It's probably the best part about Subspace's storytelling, because you have to remember, no one talks. Even characters that could talk, like Palutena and Pit or like Ganondorf, no one talks.
No voice acting.
It's all silent, show don't tell.
Yeah.
And that moment in particular makes really good use of like the character's facial expressions.
The animations, yeah, because that's the animation where you're supposed to be able to tell what the characters are saying if it's all silent through the animation.
Yeah, and I have to say, I don't like Brawl's art style. I didn't even like it back then because
I'm not a fan of it either.
Not only do you have realistic textures with like Mario's super realistic denim, it's like even I think a step over like what they have these days, but Brawl also has a very washed out color palette.
Yes.
Nothing looks that colorful.
Everything is very desaturated.
Yeah, and Melee had a little bit of that, kind of, but not really.
It had enough of it.
A little bit, but it's way over the top with Brawl. But still, I have to concede the cutscenes, especially for not being on an HD system in an age where HD systems had just come out. These cutscenes look really good. Mm-hmm. For Wii 2008.
Sure. They had so long to develop them and model and everything.
Yeah,
so.
they got a completely different company to make the cutscenes. That wasn't Sora Ltd. Like in-house at Nintendo. That was someone else completely, and I think they did a really good job. Everything's really fluid. With the gameplay, 60 FPS, nice models and everything, good shit. I just wish that at some point they went through like a Zelda World or something.
Yeah, something.
But you do it. You get the Halberd and you get Sky World, and those two are pretty cool. I think the character team-ups, for some people at least, are enough to carry interest in Subspace, but Subspace is especially interesting because not all of Melee's adventure modes like this, but it takes the form of a platforming beat-em-up, where like sometimes you'll be locked into a room and you'll have to fight enemies, or sometimes there's just enemies along the way. It's like Mushroom Kingdom. Imagine that, because like you have that one section, right, where like you reach the top of a tower and the camera locks and you have to fight a bunch of Yoshis. Yeah. There's a lot of instances like that. It's a beat-em-up.
Okay.
And the platforms are spaced well enough that, like, even if you go back to an older stage with a character not meant for it, they're going to be able to make the jumps for everything. I think they tweaked some character physics, too, so you can play as any character on any stage. That's good. But the game can feel tedious at times. Stages can go on for, like, 10, 20 minutes. I realize how hypocritical that is. Let me finish. Hour 48 looking ass. But there's something else too that really hampers down people's opinions of Subspace Emissary. It's like you go through a couple good hours, like 5 or 6, if you're playing at like a normal first playthrough pace. And then once everything gets subspaced, at that point you've already been through like, I don't know, probably like 20 levels, 20 long levels. The whole world is subspaced, and you go through a labyrinth of quote-unquote remixed stages in like a random order, and the path isn't clear. Like the path branches out at multiple points, and it's very confusing order. It's not the order you went through previously, and you're doing it to like fight the trophy-fied characters and unlock them to recruit them back before you go fight Taboo. And it just, I think even if you're not going to unlock every single character, it lasts a very long time. Like, even if you know what path you have to take, it takes a while. There's more enemies, they have beefier health. And then Sonic shows up at the end, because Sonic was added in Brawl very late into development.
So weird.
He shows up in the very last cutscene, where everyone shows up to fight Taboo, and then all of a sudden he spin dashes through one of Taboo's wings and it breaks like glass, and then he does a pose like, "Ha, better late than never, assholes!" And then everyone rolls their eyes, and then you pick your lineup for the final boss. And of course you put him in because you've been waiting.
Yeah, to use Sonic.
Yeah. Anyway, that's my whole spiel about Subspace Emissary.
Were there any new modes other than that?
Yes! Yes,
there?
there were, including, I should mention this briefly, a boss battle mode, because Subspace Emissary had bosses. A couple original ones of the ugly-ass original enemies that they made for reasons, including the iconic Gallium, and who could forget Doo-Won from Kirby and the Amazing Mirror. Okay. But, let's be fair here, you also fight Porky, Mother 3 Porky, by the way, where, like, for context, Mother 3 takes place years, decades, maybe even hundreds of years in the future after Earthbound, where, like, no one from Earthbound is around. Porky has made himself, theoretically at least, immortal by placing himself into, it's basically like cryostasis. So he's in like a machine, and there's like, his skin is peeling back, and he's all pale, and he's just in this giant like casket machine with claws.
Jeez.
Which is taken right from Mother 3. Mother 3 is a dark game.
Yeah,
it's very cool.
Huh.
But you also have PD Piranha and Ridley. And later on, Ridley comes back as Meta Ridley for 2 distinct boss battles. It's so cool. I think that's all of the... Oh, and Rayquaza.
Oh,
for
okay.
some reason. However, it is Kino. It is Supreme Kino fighting Rayquaza as Falco and Diddy Kong. It's weird, and I love it. I think that's all of the Nintendo bosses in that game.
Okay.
But, you know, for only having a handful, pretty good. I think Ridley's like your go-to, right? And then the other 3 are just like nice bonuses.
Pretty much,
honestly.
Yeah.
Good shit. Rayquaza would later be reduced to stage hazard status in Smash 4.
What other modes were there?
Anyway, yes. God, we haven't even gotten to cut content, but this won't take too long.
That's why I'm trying to quicken the pace a little bit.
Not a mode really, but I want to point out that Brawl added the My Music feature, where not only were there more than 2 songs on each stage, some up to like 10 even, but you could go into settings and set whether you never wanted to hear a song on that stage or how often you wanted to hear it, like rarely or kind of, or like all the time. And that is super cool because we went from having like 80 songs in Melee to like 300 in Brawl. Huge jump. But that's such a cool feature that you can control that.
Yeah.
Like, you know, obviously it's different for each franchise, but like Sonic and Kirby, you get like 10 songs. Mario, you might have like 20. And it's not like Ultimate, where you can play like any Zelda song on any Zelda stage. They're tailor-made for each stage, but you know, like you might still hear like an Ocarina of Time song on the Wind Waker stage, you know? Like they mix and match it to fit the mood, the vibe. Yeah. And it's really nice. If we're talking about other modes though, we already said Stage Builder, we have to talk about masterpieces.
What's that?
Well, you're gonna think Nintendo's a whole bunch of fucking geniuses for this. I don't know if this is Sakurai's idea or if it was like an obligation or what, but remember, the Wii had online, first home console from Nintendo to do this, so they have the Wii Shop channel, right? Where you can buy older games for like NES and N64 and shit. Brawl had a series of, they were called masterpieces, where you could play, or demo at least, some of these older games. You could demo, like, Super Mario Brothers and Metroid and Donkey Kong for a short time. You're like, okay, yeah, like 5-10 minutes. No. You get to play Donkey Kong for 30 seconds. I'm not even sure you can get to the top of 25 meters in 30 seconds. Maybe. You're definitely not being 50 meters. Yep. F-Zero, okay, SNES. You can't even finish the first race because the demo is 3 minutes. I think you can make like 2 laps. And that's it. Sonic is like 2 minutes. Cool that there's anything from Genesis here. Why are you doing it any service?
Yeah.
And the longest one is Ocarina of Time. Makes sense. 5 minutes. The punchline with that one, though, is people have figured out how to speedrun the masterpiece of Ocarina of Time.
I remember that.
And beat the game. Which is excellent. Actual Kino. Ocarina of Time speedruns are already crazy as hell, and then you can do that. It's awesome. Yeah, I had to bring up masterpieces because they brought it back. Smash 4. Somehow this shook the world hard enough that they had to bring it back for Smash 4.
If anything, I don't think that was Sakurai's idea. I think, if anything, that was probably the game company's idea. Like, hey, why don't you also advertise our games a little bit?
Yeah, I'm thinking it's probably Nintendo.
And someone probably didn't think, oh, these times are too short.
Yeah, because obviously, you don't want someone to play all of Super Mario Brothers. But they probably didn't have the resources or the time to be like, okay, well, this is a tailor-made demo of Mario where you can play the first world. I don't think they really had any way to do that. But yeah, some of those demos are like, oh, you can't play Ocarina of Time for 10 minutes. Which is like including cutscenes, right? Including cutscenes. They just pick a random point in the middle of the game with cutscenes. What the fuck is that? 5 minutes. 5 minutes with your dick in my mouth. So yeah, I really wanted to bring that up.
So weird.
Oh yeah, this game had stickers. It had trophies. A lot of trophies. They also had stickers.
Okay.
Stickers were, you would stick them onto characters to add, like, stat buffs or special effects for characters in Subspace.
Okay.
Which is kind of like a proto-Spirits.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this is hypothetical, but like, you might add a Balloon Fighter sticker to give yourself a higher jump.
Yeah.
Right?
Makes sense.
Or you might have like the Princess from Mario Land 4, and some stickers you can only put on certain characters. Like, you might put that on Zelda or Peach. Only they can wear it, and it might boost their launch power. Stuff like that. It really is Spirits. Before Spirits.
Yeah, really.
Also because they're just fucking PNGs. We'll get into it.
I mean, you have a bigger problem with that than I do, I think. But
okay.
We'll get to that later.
I don't know if I want to say I have a problem with it, but yeah, I know. Yeah, what?
Move on.
We talked about Final Smashes. Before we get into cut content, I do want to talk about assist trophies. Just that they're in, and that's a cool idea.
Yeah.
Because if a character can't be a fighter, you might as well still have them on stage if you can, and have them do stuff. You get Shadow the Hedgehog. You get, like, a tank and soldiers from, like, Famicom Wars and stuff. You get I had a hard time thinking back then. You had Little Mac.
Yeah, Little Mac and the guy from Fox from Solid Snake.
Gray Fox, yes. Yeah.
So
even the third
nice
parties get
inclusions.
some. Yeah. And challenges, which I don't remember if challenges were... I don't think they were a thing in Melee. You had event matches, but challenges was the board of tasks to complete, and you get rewards for it.
I mean, it's basically the same concept.
Well, event matches, you didn't always get a reward. Challenges were just like, hey, come back here when you do this thing, and you'll get, like, this trophy.
Yeah.
Content, what do we have? I listed a couple of specific things, but we'll touch on characters first. Briefly, it was going to be Blastoise instead of Squirtle for Pokemon Trainer, but Sakurai really wanted to go for the angle of representing each stage of the evolution line, which, good choice. Skipped out on Pac-Man because he didn't know how Pac-Man would fight. I'm guessing that implies he either didn't know about or didn't want to make Pac-Man the Pac-Man World version with, like, arms and legs.
I'm gonna guess too late because Sonic was already cutting it close.
Maybe that too. Ridley, he knew Ridley was gonna be a big character from the beginning, but still didn't make it. He definitely didn't make it in Smash 4. We'll talk about it. And he did joke in an interview, I think, that no, you are not going to be able to play as a Nintendog. Now, Nintendog, the franchise, got its revenge by being the worst assist trophy in the game. Yeah, block the screen with a Pitbull Terrier, bro. Throw that thing in a fucking fire pit. Geno, Crystal, and an Animal Crossing villager.
Okay.
But those were all, like, just briefly crossed his mind or seriously considered but never made it to development. You want to talk about characters cut during development, we have to talk about, and yes, this is what fans actually refer to this as, the Forbidden Seven.
Okay.
Yes.
The Forbidden Seven.
Yes, that's the we've called it this since fucking 2008.
Okay.
The Forbidden Seven all have code in the game. This is not like Sakurai talked about in an interview like Geno or Ridley or Crystal. There is at least one line of code for each of these characters in the game. Dr. Mario, Mewtwo, and Roy were all planned to come back. And wait. Oh yeah, that is kind of 7, kind of 6.
I'm assuming there's like a trio or a duo or something.
There's a duo. Well, 1.5 duo. Okay, so Dixie Kong. There's code in the game referring to Dixie Kong, specifically in the context of being able to swap out with Diddy Kong, like
That's
how they
right.
can in Donkey Kong Country.
Yes.
Probably with like a down B, which is the stickiest shit I've ever heard, and they still haven't done it. But you also have another character that would have been able to transform. Toon Zelda, and you know who I'm talking about, right? Say her name.
I can't remember.
From Wind Waker.
Oh, Zelda or Tetra.
Nope. Toon Sheik. Because Tetra would have required an original moveset. And we're talking about clone characters like Toon Sheik, which would have been like the first original Smash character.
Yeah. That's weird.
Yeah, okay. Not that I'm even saying I would have minded, but like, yeah, man, that's weird.
Yeah,
Even
it's nice.
considering like limitations on time and budget. And then we get to... I posted about this in the Discord, and it was very long and very confusing, and I got my facts straight after the fact, so... There is... Remember, most of the time, these characters are referred in the code not by their actual names. It's either short, or in some cases even, especially later on with Ford Ultimate, it's like a code word. And also, Japanese, because these games are made in Japan. They're written with English characters, but it's still Japanese, it's just Romanized. There's code referring to a character by the name of Pra space Mai, Pramai. And there have been some theories that this referred to perhaps the random button, but the random button's already in Brawl and it's referred to by a completely different name. Because people thought that because you could interpret Prama as being short for Japanese for every player or like any player, and people took that to mean either a random button or Mies, but Mies didn't make it even partway into development. It's neither of these. It's a big stretch. The most likely answer is not in favor of, rather than bringing Pichu back, kind of like how like Young Link was replaced with Toon Link, Pichu would have been replaced with Plusle and Minun. Pra and Mai kind of sounds like the first syllables of each of their names, and that's why there'd be like a space in between, is because there's two different characters. We don't know if this would have been like an Ice Climbers thing, or if they would have swapped like Toon Zelda, Toon Sheik thing, or if they would have just been like palette swaps of each other, like 4 colors of Plusle, 4 colors of Minun. But I love the idea of Pikachu, one of the consistently best characters in the series, having an Ice Climbers variation for ultimate dickheadery. I love it so much.
Jeez.
And they're also just cuter than Pichu. Fight me! Yeah, Prama is... There's not really any other better guesses than Plusle or Minun. Okay. But that's the Forbidden 7?
Okay.
Don't know why Mewtwo didn't make it. I remember seeing a lot of very intelligent, well-read people back in the early days on Game FAQ saying, well, Lucario's a clone of Mewtwo anyway, because their neutral special's kind of the same. And that's it. And they also have different frames and builds. And yep, so it'd be a waste putting in Mewtwo because they're the same. Even at a single-digit age, Ryan, I could tell when people didn't know what they were talking about.
Yeah.
This is a skill I had to develop early on.
Oh, I developed it too.
There were a few other cut things I wanted to talk about. There's code pointing to, at some point, they maybe would have wanted Ridley to be an assist trophy, which I thought was pretty interesting, and that would have potentially been our first instance of a character that's both a boss and an assist, which we'd later see with Rathalos. I think still Rathalos is the only one like that.
Yeah.
Which is cool. And this is not all of them, but some cut songs I thought were of note. You Can Do Anything, the intro song for Sonic CD Japan, which is arguably better than Sonic Boom. Still haven't made up my mind on that. They're both very good.
I haven't heard the other one, so.
It's got gratuitous English, and it's like pop rock, and it's great, and you will listen to it right now. No, you should play like 1 second of the song in there.
Maybe we'll see.
You don't
Depending on how long this time is going to be.
Oh yeah, this is gonna be longer than Tears of the Kingdom. Yes! Yes!
Why do you like torturing me?
We can't just have fun talking about something? Oh, heaven forbid.
No, it's that you're gonna end up saying, Ryan, edit this in here. Ryan, edit this in here. And it's just gonna expand that runtime.
You understand that for every time I do that, you don't have to do anything.
I know. It just...
You're allowed to neglect me. You learned that from my parents.
What?
You see, if I make my backstory sound sad, we'll get more comments in support of me, and it doubles as, channel engagement and an ego boost. Buy my merch.
Available at sharkrobot.com.
No.
Oh.
Stupid.
Available on the moon.
It's only available to governments with space programs, bro.
And they're like, oh, sweet, a shirt.
Buzz Aldrin's going up. Oh man, I left my wallet.
I left my wallet. Finally goes back, brings his wallet, and the shirt just floats away. No.
Houston, are we allowed to turn this thing around? What? What do you mean? Yeah, let's just take it back real quick. So you can buy your Drew t-shirt.
It's got his little moon head on it. It's got a funny quote on the back, too.
Miyamoto wore it in that Nintendo Direct. I really wanted it. Can't wait for Drew 4 on the
On the Nintendo Web.
I'm sorry. I have multiple times almost made you choke, but when I said Drew 4, his face scrunched like a fucking dead plant. Trying to swallow that delicious liquid. That was really good. I should make him choke more often. It's fun. There's very primitive code implying that this never made it into development, but enough that during development they considered it and started typing code for a mode called Slip Space. And we can read a little bit of it in the code that it was intended to be something about an online beat-em-up mode. I'm guessing that this would not have been like full online co-op for Subspace, but like I'm thinking you could have gone into a couple preset like beat-em-up matches in Subspace and fought those enemies with someone else in like 2-player, which would have been interesting. But considering that versus matches couldn't be played, bro, that shit was like a microwave. It was like watching Mario and Snake duke it out in a microwave oven. Like
our Nintendo Smart Toaster, available never.
Yeah, it's like it was like if we tried playing Brawl on our computer. That's actually a good way to think about it. Imagine emulating Brawl on that fucking computer. That's what it was like playing on your Wii with the best internet available at the time. Like every player. That's what it was like. It was that bad. It was so good. Ballad of the Windfish is a cut song that I thought you might enjoy.
Yeah.
My fellow Link's Awakening enjoyer.
It's good.
But the last cut song I want to talk about. So, people had requested Geno for Melee, and that wasn't that weird back then because when that poll was out, Paper Mario wasn't even a thing. So Super Mario RPG was the only Mario RPG, and it wasn't that weird to think that that game might get a sequel or Geno might show up in other things.
Okay.
He hadn't, but he never has.
Yeah.
But back then, it wasn't weird to request Geno for Smash. Melee, even after Melee came out, people wanted Geno. People started requesting Geno for Brawl online. You'd see comments about it on like game FAQs and Smash boards and stuff. But obviously, Paper Mario and Thousand Year Door had come out since then. The Mario Luigi franchise had just started like a few years prior to Brawl. Geno's nowhere to be seen. That game's not getting a sequel. Geno's not in like Mario Party or like Mario Baseball, right? Geno is fading into the past, but people aren't quite aware of it yet. It could still happen, right? Hey, maybe he'll be in Smash. Sakurai brought up in a Brawl interview he wants Geno in Smash. It just didn't work out. He brought it up in an interview.
Mm-hmm.
The schizophrenia is beginning. This was truly the start of the fellow Geno enjoyers losing their minds because...
No, you gotta call it what it really is.
What?
True genocide.
They haven't committed genocide yet.
Wait for it. If he's not in the next Smash game, it's gonna start.
I feel like it's already kind of happened because he was me-costumed twice in DLC. But I bring this up for Brawl because there's a cut song and it's translated Japanese, but for a very long time people interpreted it as being Forest Maze, aka the place where the song Beware the Forest Mushrooms plays.
Yeah.
The place where you meet Geno for the first time in Mario RPG. We don't have audio for it.
I love how far Smash fans reach.
But here's the other thing,
God,
too.
they have arms.
Here's the thing, too, is that sounded kind of plausible. It could have even just meant, like, they just put in a song from Mario RPG.
Yes.
Some people took that further and assumed, this is further evidence that Geno was like maybe caught in development. He wasn't. He was considered.
Yeah.
But not that far, right? But I'll give them this. 4 back then especially, not maybe that far of a stretch. Sakurai had mentioned, at that point, whatever, but I found out that I don't know how this code is organized in the game relative to everything else, but the songs are listed at least for their series in some way in chronological order of like games that came out.
Yeah.
And this song is not listed next to like Yoshi's Island and Mario 64. It's near like GameCube and GBA games, which implies it would have been probably Toadwood Forest from like the first or second Mario and Luigi game, because it's not listed in the section with like late 90s stuff. So I don't know if I should say red herring, because that would imply it was intentionally misleading, but
maybe just misplaced.
Yeah, and again, you understand that this is all people translating Japanese, because it's all like English people talking about it. That shit's gonna happen. I think, that's... I guess the only other thing there is with Brawl is, this was the start of character reveal trailers. Which, I mean, we already talked about those, but I thought that was of significance because I don't know if we're gonna ever talk about it specifically in this show, but character trailers would go on to be a huge thing starting with Smash 4. Mm-hmm. It already kind of were, There weren't a lot for Brawl. I think it was just that intro with like the 4 characters and Snake, and you had one with Sonic, and everyone else was either shown off in like a pick of the day or kept secret until launch. I don't think like Diddy Kong or Olimar or Lucario were ever shown in a big trailer and like, E3 2007, but they started something there. They started something.
Became a phenomenon.
Oh, I thought you intentionally mispronounced it like fum-ama-mom.
No.
I forgot about that pig.
I treasure him. He's with 2 other very important boys.
What pig am I talking about? I'm referring to, of course, Sakurai, because I can't believe he got away with making 2 of the worst Smash games of all time, with Smash for 3DS and Smash for Wii U.
But before we get to that, we'll be right back after this break.
What? I've come back from my ride on my magic... No.
Balloon. Oh.
That was pretty good. I like that you said it at exactly a 90-degree angle up into the heavens.
Thanks.
Smithers!
You are very attractive, Smithers. Remember that. Moving on to Smash 4.
I think Hans
now
Millman
let's Smash
would be
4
a very
ourselves.
good... Hey, I don't know about that. Hold on. Let's. My hands are up. I don't know about that. That sounds kind of PG-13-ish.
Put your hands up.
What the fuck are you doing?
You said hands up. My hands are up.
I have to say, before... He's excited. And you should be, because I want to congratulate you. I tested you today, twice, over the same thing, and you passed. You didn't know it because you didn't know you were being tested, but twice a day I've used your downstairs bathroom over here, down here where we record, and I left the door open as I urinated, and neither time did you take advantage of me. You ignored your primal urges, and
I sure did, Drew. What can I say? I'm a lovely man. Moving on to Smash 4. After Drew gets the idea of whatever the fuck he's thinking about out of his head.
So, at this point, I'm balls deep into Smash, right? And then E3 2012.
Smash balls deep? Give me some fucking credit on that one, come on. something. Nothing. A 1 out of 10.
1? Wow, that's generous.
So is generousness, but apparently that ain't fucking.
No, it's not!
Whatever.
Johnny!
He just Johnny'd himself into a fucking coughing fit.
Look at the cross on that jawbreaker! Eddie!
Look at the cross of Christ! He's coming!
I meant the smash ball, you fucking idiot. Eddie was gonna get a final smash!
Where he devours the whole stage.
Eddie is way too capitalist and consumerist to believe in the faith of Christianity.
Jesus!
Now it is time for the second of come.
It's the second coming, Ed.
Who's that dork?
I am the way, the truth, and the life. You ain't part of our lives, pal.
He turned blank into wine!
Jesus for Smash, confirmed.
My favorite Hanna-Barbera.
I recently found a place where I can watch that show again.
Church!
In the confessions booth.
The pastor's favorite character is Wilfred. Well, if you're Jewish, you can't eat Wilfred.
Okay, we have rambled.
Yeah.